let's get to the man who understands the law. He is a Tennessee native, a graduate of Yale, and I'll say it as loud as you want me to. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together. It is FriJay.
Good morning, Americans. It's FriJay.
Yes, indeed. A weekly visit with one of my best friends in the world, my best friend, Jay St. Clair. But that's not why I have him on the radio. I have him on the radio because he is a good friend of the law, and he understands this stuff in ways that I do not, and he can explain it in ways that I cannot, and we welcome him back to the show. Hello, Jay. How are you?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be Mrs. Beasley.
Man, she's running the show, buddy. Running the show. I know how much people like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love it when you talk about Mrs. Beasley. And, yes, she is she's out of control. She runs the 125-pounder like he's a puppy. It's pretty funny.
I get it.
Well, Jay, I don't know if anything's going on from a courtroom perspective for us to talk about. I have a hard time pinning something down.
No, it's the dog days of summer, man. Not a lot going on with legal stuff right now. I think
Supreme Court out of session. Just all right. You want to? I'll just your pick, Jay, and I ask it this way intentionally. You ready? You want to go north or you want to go south?
Well, I think I want to go south if I know what you're talking about. Let's talk about the amendment or the superseding indictment to President Trump.
That's so tittillating.
This is pretty good.
All right, so we're going south. I figured you would pick south. So the choice was between a courtroom in Delaware and a courtroom down south, Mar-a-Lago issues. So Donald Trump has had an amended indictment. Let's start there. I am exactly 1 day away from learning that you could amend an indictment.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, in civil court, we call it an amended complaint. Well, over in criminal court, they got to be a little bit hardy. It's not an amended indictment. It's a superseding indictment. That sounds more harassing.
Right.
Supersede.
There was another indictment, and this indictment, the second indictment, supersedes the first indictment, and it includes a lot of what the first indictment said, but then more.
Yeah, but this is great, man. I've just been studying it here this morning. I got it right here in my hands. And so after much thought and deliberation, right, all these events happened. Let's see, it's been over a year ago that these events happened. They said, okay, we're gonna throw another charge up against the wall. And this is that he was deliberately trying to destroy evidence, right? That sounds really bad. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the evidence they have of it, man. I've got it right here. I'm going to read it to you exactly from the superseding indictment. The government sent a subpoena to the Trump people after they'd gone in and done the raid, and they saw that there were cameras there, right? They went down there and did the raid to get the documents. When they got there, they saw the security cameras. So then they sent another subpoena and said, hey, we want all of the footage from your security cameras, right? I get that.
Okay.
And so now they got an obligation to go find that footage, right? And as often happens with electronic equipment, it only stores it for a certain period of time. Right? So and then once they get the subpoena, they're obligated right then to keep whatever they got. And so here's the allegation, man, that this newly hired guy, Delivier, I may be mispronouncing his name, but he's the property manager, one of Trump's people. He goes, when they get the subpoena, a day or two later, he goes down to the IT department. He asks them how many days the server retains footage.
Uh-huh.
That's a very smart question, right? I mean, just, okay, whatever we have right now, we got to turn over. So how far back do we have it? And they say, oh, well, it's about 45 days. Oh, okay. And then here's their evidence that this person, the Trump employee, told Trump employee 4, an anonymous person, we don't know who this is, but they say he's working with Trump, told him that the boss, in quotations, the boss wanted the server deleted.
Uh-huh.
And then the guy says, well, I don't know how to do that. And I don't believe I'd have the rights to do that.
Right.
To do that, you got to talk to my boss. And then the guy says, "Oh, okay.
That's it?
There's your evidence. That's it, man."
So in the superseding indictment, the big story that every major media outlet is running with, that Trump deleted the videotapes.
No, that's
in
not
the
true.
he is not named?
Well, they don't claim he deleted the tapes. All they claim happened is one guy said to another guy, he didn't even say, "Go delete the tapes." He didn't even say that. All he said was, "Well, the boss wants the server deleted." The boss. That's all he said. The boss wants the server deleted. And the guy says, "Well, I don't know. I can't do that. I don't have to do that. You'll have to talk to my boss." And the movie ends right there. He never goes and talks to the boss. Nothing is deleted.
Jay, a lot of different ways to go with it. Let me ask you this. Am I at all thinking correctly that I've kind of seen this play out before? And I know the details are different. And I know, you know what? If Trump eventually started playing a little loosey-goosey with some of this toward the end because he was playing around with it, and that's on him, and he'll have to face a jury on that, right?
That's right. You said that just exactly right.
Right. I think Donald, and my instinct tells me that Donald Trump thought all of this was nonsense, and perhaps he was kind of playing a little loose with it, not realize. Once again, they're trying to do this once again. But I've seen this movie play out before with Michael Cohen, one of his attorneys, with Paul Manafort, one of his underlings and business associates, with Roger Stone, a friend and business associate, that the government is obsessed with trying to catch an underling of Trump, someone within Trump's circle, and pressure them through threat of jail to roll over on Trump. And this just feels like another example of that.
That's very well said, man. I agree with you absolutely. And I got to say this, as of right now, Trump is batting 1,000.
Yep.
The government is batting 0.
If you felt, why in the world, is it odd to you in your legal experience, and I know you deal with the civil world more than the criminal case world, but the idea that the Department of Justice would get this indictment from a grand jury and roll that indictment out without having all of this stuff buttoned down first, is that odd to you?
It's odd. Everything about this is odd, man. I start from this premise. If President Trump were not running for president, there is no way this case would have been filed. The only reason this case was filed was to get him to stop him from running for president, or if he runs, from winning. There's no doubt about that. And I believe I've dealt with prosecutors, although I don't deal with that full time. I have dealt with those. I had represented the client in a criminal case. The prosecutions use the power of everything they have to coerce plea agreements, man. That's just a known fact. And I believe that, and if you look at the way this case has been handled, it's a PR job, man. They talk about these hundreds and hundreds of documents. There's only 31 of them at issue. They put photographs in the indictment. People never do that. I believe that the main intention of this case is to scare Trump into believing that he may end up spending 10 years in prison, and the only way he can avoid his life ending in prison is to pull out of the race for president. That's what I believe in my heart is the reason this case is filed.
And what you just said, Jay, so well, it is the scariest aspect of this, that because based in what you just said is the premise that that's why they're doing it. If we are allowing our Department of Justice to work in that partisan of a fashion, and there's some speculation embedded in this conversation, I get that. But if we're watching this play out and more within mainstream media circles or others are not calling this out for what it is, and that is one political party or political ideology or political candidate or sitting president putting their thumb on the scales of justice solely for the purpose of affecting the outcome of a future election, that's frightening.
It's awful, man. I mean, I just cannot believe we have reached that point as a country. That's the sort of stuff that we seceded from England about. And you know, our founding fathers did such a brilliant job of setting up the freedom-loving government that we have here that my heart of heart wants to think that at the end of the day, this is all going to work out as it should. But I'll tell you what, it's a cliffhanger right now.
So I'm just trying to figure out how this would play out in a court of law, because the government says, well, the entire new accusation, as you've described it, is, well, Donald Trump wanted to delete the surveillance videos so that we couldn't see. And so if I'm standing in court and you tell me, because you know I've glommed on to Jay St. Clair, for those who don't know, I've tried to be amateur lawyer for the last 20 years, so I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So you'd say, well, did they get deleted? No, they didn't get deleted. Well, did the guy who said that there was a suggestion did he use anybody's name? Right. I mean, that's the fascinating thing is they can't even demonstrate that this guy said that this directive was coming from Trump himself, which is the implication, right?
Well, that's what they're trying to imply. But no, he just said the boss. And we don't know who this employee is. He's obviously, said this to the prosecutors so that they at least have this guy saying. They got one employee of Trump's organization saying that another employee said to him, hey, the boss wants this server deleted. I don't even know what those words mean, Matt. You don't delete a server.
Right.
You can delete the contents of a server. But to say he wants the server deleted is nonsensical to me. Keep in mind that they just received a subpoena to produce to the government the information that was on that server. So maybe what the guy was saying is we got to get what's on that server, get it off, and send it to the government. Maybe that's what he was saying. Well, we don't know. But that's all. You got one Trump employee talking to another Trump employee, and let's put it in the light most favorable to the government. Says, hey, the boss wants this server deleted. And the guy says, well, I can't do that. Oh, okay. Well, have a good day. See ya.
It reminds me a lot of, and I can't pinpoint any individual instance, but it reminds me a lot of what the media tried to insinuate about Trump while he was president. Like they would come out with, well, our sources say that Donald Trump asked the general if it'd be cool if he invaded Iran.
Right.
And oh my God, Donald Trump, and so they blow that up. Donald Trump wants to invade Iran. If it weren't for the military generals, Donald Trump would have invaded Iran. Donald Trump tried to start World War III. And then when you source it back, it was just a genuine question asked in a brainstorming session somewhere. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
They take a little snippet of a conversation and turn molehills into mountains.
Yeah, that's well said.
Well, Jay,
I don't know, it's remarkable, man.
You kind of bringing my Friday down here.